And from wherever you're watching us from, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's another Saturday. We've just closed the first quarter of the year. And of course, in the political field, there are always new developments, new stories that come up every single day. So we appreciate you whenever you come and join us here on Uganda Crossroads, and from wherever you are. We think you had a nice week. The politics in Uganda was quite interesting this past week. We saw the arrest of Bobi Wine. We saw the cancellation of his shows. We saw, the Parliament of Uganda increasing its allowances. Of course, there are some people who are saying, no, that's not true, that's right. But to us, it is something that really makes sense, so creates us to, think about it, whether the Parliament is working for Ugandans or something else. So these are the things that we are here to discuss again today here at Uganda Crossroads in Massachusetts. Always our studios are eager to come every Saturday, and we share with Hilary Taylor and Sarah Joy Bakanesa. But before we start the program, I want us to a little bit think about what's going to happen tonight here at the studios here in Massachusetts. We're having a town hall meeting with Dr. Daniel Kawuma, one of the UNA presidential candidates. We expect a lot, and if you are in Boston, you are in New York, and you can fly and come to Boston right now, today is the day for the town hall meeting. That was just an advert for the town hall meeting coming up. So I want to thank you so much for being part of us. But let's get back to business. Politics continues as it has always been. The government works for the people, and the people expect a lot from the government. What we don't know is whether the government is fulfilling the needs and interests of Ugandans.
It doesn't want you to.
And that's what's most important to us as Ugandans in diaspora, as Ugandans in Uganda. Now, last week, or this week that is ending, we saw Parliament increasing its allowances. We saw Bobi Wine's shows being cancelled, arrested, and also we saw some news stories coming up, plus the new development with the Uganda Airlines. So today we are in the show again, and guys, I want to thank you so much for coming back to the show, and of course, giving us your views. I'm going to ask you to first introduce yourselves, and then we can continue with how the show has always been. And first of all, I think the cameraman or the producer is going to show us how Sarah is dressed today. I don't know whether that's the same yellow that happened last time, but
Really?
I wanted to start with that. So, Hilary, let me start with you. How was your week?
Greetings to all dear friends and sisters or brothers from all parts of the world. My name is Hilary Innocent Taylor Seguye, and I'm exceedingly honored and humbled to be here on this wonderful talk show.
Thank you. So, Sarah, I started with the dress code. I'm sorry, this is a political show, but that matters a lot because people will be like, oh, Sarah is now putting on NRM. What happened? Sarah, how was your week?
Did NRM invent yellow? Definitely the answer is no. I can put on any color I want so long as my actions and what I say defends my country. My week was fabulous.
Oh, okay. Thank you, guys. That was nice. Again, I want to thank you so much. So the most important question that happened this week, I want to go straight on point, was the arrest of Bobi Wine. The thing was, his shows were cancelled first. And probably, maybe because of his statements, the government felt it important for him to be arrested in his home in Magere. What comes into your minds when you look at such situations happening on a weekly, daily basis? Now, before the guys here start analyzing what really happened, for you who is watching, does the arrest of Bobi Wine make a political difference in Uganda? Does it promote him as an individual or as a politician? Does it bring any sense to you? Now, guys, I want to come back to you. Here, I want to sit with you. He was arrested. What comes into your mind?
Well, of course, it has been evident enough, like year after year, that this police of ours is partisan. The police is working for the ruling government, NRM party. We are not flabbergasted by the actions of the police, because we've seen every day the police violating our human rights, and yet we're supposed to enjoy these inherent and inalienable rights. So it's not the first time that the police has done such a thing. So cancelling someone's concerts, 184 concerts, that's a huge loss to his family. It's a huge loss to him also, and also to the people he employs. So it has set a precedent in this country of ours that whenever the police does such things, and we keep silent as Ugandans, we are okaying the status quo. So in other words, I just call upon all Ugandans to rise up and stop this nonsense of the police. Because we've seen that the police is no longer following laws, but it's following orders from above, the president. So if they think Museveni is going to direct them to violate our rights each and every day, yet we have the Police Act that they have never followed, I think this police has never worked for people. You see, the police tells us we have the POMA, the Public Order Management Act, that was tabled by the ex-premier of Uganda, John Patrick Mbabazi. That act, tells us how we can easily assemble as people mainly in opposition or even any party from the ruling party. But again, the police is supposed to give us protection once we inform the police that we want to meet on such a date, in such a place. But the police is doing each and everything possible to deny us, the benefits of this act. So we ask ourselves the question, why was this even act implemented? Is it time we have to, reform this act? Is it even possible to reform this act? So if we reform the act, will the police change? Is there a political will for the government also to respect the rights of the opposition?
Okay. So, sir, we have seen in history that people who are under house arrest, they have certain things they don't access. But we've seen it with Dr. Besigye, where some members were stopped from going to his home and all that. This time, for Bobi Wine's arrest, people were free to get in and out. Was it real a house arrest, or it's just a political play of games?
Yeah, but even when Dr. Besigye was arrested, they allowed people to visit him. You remember even the time when Bobi Wine, the son, and was it the wife or someone, went to see him under house arrest. Other members
that's after the 2016 presidential elections.
Yes, even other members of opposition were allowed to go in, though maybe the access was not really easy. So, but I don't know, maybe they were, because they were more interested in Bobi Wine or they were more interested in Dr. Besigye, that's why they could not allow, they would maybe check his members of the family because his kids had to go to school, the wife had to continue with his business. Definitely she had to be allowed to go out. But again, for me, stopping Bobi Wine did not even shock me at all. I expected it, 100%. I knew that show was not going to happen. Because right now, any gathering that collects about 1,000 more people for Museveni is a huge threat. Ugandans are so awakened, especially in the urban, semi-urban places, even in the villages. I'm seeing video clips of so many people coming from villages, and you would expect they don't know anything about change, about people power. People are so awakened right now. So one, I expected the show not to happen, but I big up to the promoters who put up a fight up to the last, because they did everything they asked them to. They had every document they needed from them. At the end of the day, just prior to the show, they get another letter canceling the show. So I expected that to happen. And it is a shame that where you would expect the police to be, you do not get the police in such places. You've seen situations where accidents happen and it takes forever. There's an accident that happened at Kira Road, just next to Kira police station. You would expect ambulances. I was seeing the video footage immediately after the ambulance. You would expect so much to be done there. Ambulances to be in place, to be carrying casualties because many people lost their lives, some lost their legs. You needed immediate action because Kira Road is not far away from Mulago Hospital. You have all these things happening. You see markets getting banned and so many things are happening in Uganda. And police, you never see police getting involved or they don't come out in mammoth numbers. But just Bobi Wine having an innocent show where they're not going to shoot anyone, they're not going to do anything crazy. I saw the turn up of Uganda policemen and women and the numbers were so huge. So I wonder really where they get the time. One, maybe I don't blame them because they are being pushed by the regime or they are being given orders. But do we have? Did we just hire a team of stupid policemen and women who do not see the situation in Uganda? Are they so blind that they cannot see that? Because the policemen and men of Uganda are going through is not any different from what the ordinary Ugandans are going through. You see where they sleep. They sleep like dogs. They sleep like paupers. They earn the least amount of money. They earn as much as teachers earn. They have children. They have responsibilities. So if you are going to amount that amount of energy, you saw how they broke into the window screen of his car. If you're going to amount a lot of energy onto someone who should be joining to end the dictatorship, then there is a problem in this country.
All right, so you've talked about the Public Order Management Bill, and this week the Parliament, together with the NRM, which has the biggest majority, they seem to be agreeing to make some amendments in the Constitution, probably in the same act. Does it make any difference today? Will it be supporting what you guys, people are doing? Will it help you out?
Yeah, so as I've said before, that the question would be, is there a political will? Because we can make several amendments each and every day. But again, so long as we don't have political will, then it becomes useless. So I think the only solution we have to do is to ensure that we get rid of this government of Mr. Museveni. Because there is no political will, and Museveni has nothing to promise Ugandans. So even the first problem we have in our Uganda police, this dictator has done, is to militarize our police. Today, the military has taken over the police. So the brutality you see in police is the training they get from the military. So we have, I don't know what to call them. These are inhumane actions that they're exposing to Ugandans. So when it comes to human rights, we all have the same equal rights. But again, if you say one individual, a Bobby Wine or Kyagulanyi Robert Sentamu, is going to be denied his rights, yet other citizens are enjoying their rights, where is justice? So for us, I think as Ugandans, we have now to come back and use Article 1 and Article 3 of our Constitution that talks about the sovereignty of the sovereignty of the people. That's Article 1. Article 3 talks about the defense of the Constitution. So once the police violates our human rights on a daily basis, then we have to rise up and defend our lives. Otherwise, this police is going to step on our rights each and every day.
All right. So
as Dr. Martin Luther King said, our rights begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So let's rise up. You can speak up against the atrocities that are committed by this regime of Mr. Museveni. Even as people in diaspora, we are doing each and everything possible to ensure that we create awareness about the brutality of the police, the brutality of this regime, the military regime we have, because the regime is so violent. So we are reporting these cases to the White House. Of course, they are aware about such incidents. We are reporting these incidents to the International Criminal Court. And of course, Mr. Museveni, after leaving power, he has to be answerable of these atrocities he has committed, of the war crime he has committed in northern Uganda. We can't forget about the Konyi incident. So Museveni has to answer the case of also murdering our brothers and sisters in Kasese. People were butchered. He has to answer about the case of Bugerere crisis. People were killed. So this regime, whoever is doing such atrocities, they should know that their time is going to come and they're going to be answerable for those actions. Today you might allow the police or order from above or that person called above to use you, but tomorrow you're going to be answerable as an individual. So they have to learn from past leaders, like if you know Charles Taylor, right now the guy is in ICC. And those people who have violated human rights during the Rwanda genocide, they are also getting accountable for their actions. So let police officers know that their time is going to come and they will be accountable for all the abuses they are committing to human rights.
Okay, they seem to be some of the things that people have always encouraged before. And when you look at Sarah, when you look at what's going on in Uganda, Bobi Wine released a new song, Afande, and which, of course, it has so many viewership both on YouTube and other platforms where people have shared it. Does that song make any difference from the previous song that he composed about, again, the current situation in Uganda? Do you think that song is going, is it going to be played on national radios and televisions too? Is it going to create change? Just like Tuyambale?
It's already playing.
It's already, they don't have, right now when it comes to revolutionary songs, don't expect them to get airplay because they're gonna be stopped. But where even the traditional TVs and radio stations are running also social media to increase on their viewership. So if anything is on social media, it is already out there. So the TVs and radio stations will find it on social media. It is basically this time he was targeting the police and the brutality of the police. This song was going to the policemen and women in uniform who are terrorizing Ugandans, who are beating them up, yet they don't live in any other situation different from the ordinary Ugandan. Because I would expect a policeman maybe to be earning a hefty salary. If they were beating Ugandans when earning good money, when they are sleeping very well, when their kids go to better schools, when they fall sick, they get better or specialized treatment, I would understand their situation. So, but what baffles me is, where do you get the rights? Are you even in your right mind to start treating Ugandans? You're in the same situation.
Order from above. That's a law. And the police, I think they have to go by
order from above. You do not have to act stupid. Sometimes we have to use common sense. Common sense has nothing to do with order from above. It is either common sense is God-given. Museveni also has common sense, or he doesn't. So you do not have to. Common sense doesn't have to come from above. No one gives common sense apart from God. But this song, I'm glad this song was sung in many languages. It's in Luo, it's in Swahili, and it is going to cut across because you see, when I see neighboring countries, what the things that happen in countries, like sometimes you've seen Kenyans going into situations and police comes up and handles people badly. That song can cut across there. I see these Tanzanians are also buffering a dictatorship, so it also applies there. It is going to cut across East Africa and other countries of Africa who feel that the police is manhandling them. But take away from that, I have had people who are either despising or taking it away from Bobi Wine, thinking he's not good enough. But I'm telling you, a man as talented as Bobi Wine can be anything in this world. Because we saw him, he was on a live video, he was on a Facebook live chatting with Nubian Lee when they started composing a song in 2 days. We have a song in almost 8 languages that is cutting across East Africa, that speaks to what is exactly happening to the people, that speaks to the police, and hope they can understand and digest the message and know that they can be better than what they're doing. So if you dispute Bobi Wine and say, oh, let him go back to music, you cannot, there are so many, do you know there are so many international stars who cannot compose a song? Who cannot Michael Jackson was really good, but this lady, there's a lady, I've forgotten the name, who used to compose his songs, and she's enjoying the realities of Michael Jackson up to this time. Beyonce is a very good musician, but she has writers. But for someone, talent is God-given. You cannot dispute talent. It's God-given, it is there, and as someone as gifted as Bobi Wine, who can sit back and sing about the prides of Ugandans, you cannot take it away from him. If God gave him the wisdom to compose, I take myself as intelligent, but I cannot even compose a song. But for someone to sit down in 2 hours and compose a song, it is very good. And I'm going to add this bit before you go to Hillary. Today, I read a post by Kakensa Media. He put up a post and says he finds it very, very hypocritical and very unfair for musicians who claim they are doing charity, but they cannot use their voices to sing about the plight of what is happening in Uganda. I saw some people attacking him here and there, but he's 100% right. Because for anyone to do, these musicians or any other person needs to understand, where does it start from? For you even to gain the fame, it started from the fact that you used your voice or you used your talent, and you got all these following, the fans, the followers who love you and love your music. Charity comes on top of you, you know, having that following, and then you do some work. But right now, what he was trying to bring across, what maybe most people didn't understand, the biggest problem in Uganda are not people looking for what to eat today. People are looking for sustainability. People are looking for, what am I going to, if you give me food today, what about tomorrow, what about the other day, what about end of the year? If I am sick today and you give me Panadol today, what if I fall sick next week, what are you going to give me? But we have so many musicians, and this now goes back to musicians I see who are going into politics. Those who are going for mayorship, those who are going into different positions. Use your voices. When you sing, you cannot take it away from you. When you sing, your music does not only stop in Uganda, but it runs across borders. You may do charity in one small place in Kampala. The people in America may not know about it. Your fans in the other parts of the world may not even know so much about what you did. But when you sing, you have fans all over the world. Those who are Ugandans, those who are not Ugandans, and they love your music. It is about time we have also these musicians who want now to join active politics. And some of them are really, they are only joining to get money, because either they are tired, because, you know, composing music, singing is also a task. It's a big task. Maybe they want to have another avenue of getting some money, because some of them have not been successful doing business. Most of the musicians are failed businessmen. So they are looking for any other way to get money without struggling for it. You see how MPs have increased their salaries right now, the allowances by 40%. If you are now, just imagine you are a musician in parliament.
We're going to talk.
Let me finish up. Let me finish up. So my thing for every musician, I see Chameleon is coming up. I've not seen Chameleon sing for the 20 years Chameleon has sung. He has never done any song talking about the plight of Ugandans. I know Chameleon is talented, Chameleon is a writer, Chameleon can write for us about, he may not write about the police, he may write about the medical sector. Uganda is rooted, there is a lot to write about. You do not even have to think, or you don't need rocket science to write about the plight of the people. And when you're singing about the plight, also come up with solutions in the song. Because music carries message, it carries solutions. You see what happened with Fidel Rutai. Many people didn't know about HIV. We learned about HIV through his music. He sang about it. The whole world got to know about him. He's now one of the legends Uganda has, and is respected all over the world. The world knew Fidel Rutai, I am telling you, because he knew his situation. He had HIV and he sang about it. But all these musicians who are going to join politics, we have the likes of Lutaya, we have the likes of Aganaga, we have the likes of, there are so many of them. You want to join politics, but you've not used your talent that is going to meet masses. Because if you sing a song, I'll give it to this other guy. He's been singing about the issues happening in Uganda for a very long time. No, not Matthias. There's another one. Another guy. He's at university right now studying. He's another musician also who is going to join politics. He sings with the Golden Band. Ronald Mayinja has been doing the work. But the likes of Chameleon, the likes of all these other musicians who are going to jump into politics, there are so many issues. Right now we have an issue of our young sisters and brothers who travel to Middle East to look for work, to feed their families, and on return. They don't return human beings, they return dead body. You musicians who want to join politics, please come up with a song about that and the solution to the government. When you sing music, it goes further. Museveni will hear about it. You have funds in government. Even people abroad, use your voices, use your talents. But we are not going to entertain. We are looking at everyone in any way. Like I'm not the best. I don't know so much about politics, but I can talk and analyze stuff. That's why I give in my time. So as Ugandans, as people, and some of us are not even going into active politics, but we give in our time so that we can further the cause. Improve what is happening in the country, and give people some bit of hope, and explain and expound and break down things for the layperson to understand. So these politicians, these musicians, everyone needs to add a brick onto the cause. They better do something now.
Okay, sure. So yeah, here.
Yes, to add on what Sarah has just said, The song Bobby Wine just released 2 days ago was carrying a very powerful message. Afande sipigane nawe, nwanirira gwe. I'm fighting for you. I'm not fighting you, but rather I'm fighting for you. So it resonates so well with majority of police officers who have been manipulated in this regime of Mr. Museveni. As Sarah has talked about the conditions under which our brothers and sisters are living are so terrible. So let the song raise eyebrows to the police officers who are committing these atrocities. Because if you smash someone's car like that and you pepper spray them, their eyes, because look at the way one of the promoters of Bobby Wine, Bajo, was pepper sprayed in eyes. I remember very well also when one Gilbert Naitwe pepper sprayed the Kizza Besigye years ago, I think it was 2009. Around
that guy died?
One day roundabout.
There's a story about
right
him,
now,
I think he died.
I'm told he's a pastor.
He's a pastor?
So probably he reformed. This partisan police should think twice before they act. And again, those who doubt the potentials of Bobby Wine, they should also look at the history that is happening all over the world. You don't have to be a political scientist to become a politician or a president. Recently, you know what happened in Ukraine with the elections. Zelensky became the president, but he was a comedian. So if our viewers can go to Google and search out the president, the new elected president of Ukraine, the guy was the president. He was mimicking the president of Ukraine. The way you see this guy, is it Seguja?
Mondo.
Yes, Mondo. The way Mendo, is it or Mondo? Mendo is mimicking Museveni. That's how Zelensky was in Ukraine. Go to also George Weah. George Weah was a footballer in Manchester United. He never had dreams of becoming a president of his country, but today is the president of his country. Now, go to also New Zealand. If you look at this lady, Jacinda. Jacinda right now, she's the youngest prime minister of New Zealand in their history. But she was a DJ. So things change. So for someone who says that a musician like Bobby Wine cannot become a leader today, I think they have to study about the trends or the dynamics of politics all over the world. Because even here where we are in the US, look at the history of Donald Trump. He never had any political experience at all. But he's now the president of the most powerful nation in the world. So everything is possible. And we are telling Ugandans today that it is very possible for Bobby Wine to become the president in 2021. Very many journalists today are going to send out negative information on media houses, trying to show the public that there is no way Bobby Wine can become a president. But we know the press has no freedom. They are censored. They fear to cancel their licenses.
Okay,
and they feed on commercials. So they are thinking about they are staying in the field. So once today UCC closes a TV like NTV or NBS, then they won't be surviving. So that's why they're now careful about what they saw on media. So in other words, they're not giving us their independent views, but they are giving us what the state wants to hear.
All right, so...
now Sarah has been telling like musicians, I think for me, let all musicians also unite and use their force as a powerful magnitude that we can change and we can play a key role towards the transformation of our country. Okay. So let them come to the battlefield, as we've seen some of them, and join Bobby Wine in this field, as very many people from different sectors have come. Because look at what happened also recently. You heard from the spokesperson of police, Enanga. He was telling Bobby Wine that some of the pictures he used in the video were not called for. But who was committing those atrocities? If the spokesperson of the police is telling Bobby Wine that you can't show blood on someone's face, yes, it's the police who inflicted that violence on that individual, then what do you expect the public to know? Because all these things were on camera. If they showed the police battling the journalist who was having his weapon as a camera only, not a gun, and you are busy beating him up with, sticks.
But we
This
have
is
seen
crazy.
such scenarios happening in other countries.
Enanga is speaking nonsense before national televisions. I think also he should become silent about it. And which pictures do they want us to show the public?
Let's
now,
look at...
go to our neighboring country. What is happening in Sudan? Over 100 top military officials, they have stepped down because they will feel the pressure from the public. And they are saying the time is now to join the people. We've been over-manipulated by the regime. Now we want to side with the people. So can we see the same precedent also, the same scenario happening in Uganda? Because today in Enanga, you're going to come and speak what your boss wants to tell, but you're not giving us the reality. And tomorrow you're going to be accountable for these actions you were committing. Your family members are also going to be accountable for some of the things you're committing. So let's not create dangerous conditions for our family members, for ourselves.
All right, so on record, before we get out of that topic, on record, President Museveni has been a great person in ensuring that Ugandans have security and all that. But the history shows that at one time Dr. Milton Obote talked about him and said he may not be the good person for our country. Do you guys think, before we leave that the same area, do you guys think President Museveni is a disaster to Uganda's economy, just as you want to see Honorable Bwen becoming the president?
Now, if you talk about peace, I don't know what peace you're talking about, because you know it very well that absence of war does not mean peace. So if today I have 1 meal a day, and I'm not having 3 meals a day, that's not peace to me. If they have no cash flow to take care of my family, or my whatever, people in my family, then I don't have peace. If today my child is walking to school barefooted, where is the peace? If today the teachers are taking like 6 months without being paid, they're having areas with the government, do you think they're living in peace?
Okay.
If the nurses are also working in darkness, there's no light. Yet the mother is giving birth to a baby. In other words, they're just working on torches. So where is the peace?
Okay.
So let no one lie you that we have peace. We don't have peace in our country today. Because look at also the doctors who have just been kidnapped. One was recently confirmed dead. So where is the peace? They told you that an American, Kimberly, was kidnapped in Queen Elizabeth National Park. Where is the security you're talking about?
The president has always been clear. Now let me ask you, Sarah, on the same issue of security and the peace in Uganda. Now, President Museveni comes up and says we have security. You guys who support people power or who believe in change, you don't believe there is security. No, but we saw Bwen was arrested, and that means it's part of security. So what are you going to say about that?
If you talk about security, then I do not know why Museveni has the biggest motorcade. He has the biggest motorcade.
He's the commander-in-chief.
No, but you don't need it. Why is he so insecure? Why are you so insecure? Why are you having a motorcade? His motorcade is bigger than what Trump has.
Do you guys
I'm telling you, Trump is the president. America is the superpower. Trump's motorcade is not as big as what Museveni has. Museveni, you have security in your country. Why are you so insecure? You have security in the country, but your budget now has gone to 410 billion from 50 billion. The state house budget. Why do you need all that money if you have security? And again, let's take it back to, you said what Obote said and what happened. Who killed the people in Lubuurwa?
500,000
the people, every person who is accounted for who died in the war, they were not killed by the sitting government. They were killed by the rebels, because do the math and use common sense. Who wants the power? You want any person who is on the side of the rebels, you have to cause tension onto this other side to show that, there is trouble. So you kill the people. Why are people in Lubuurwa right now coming up and say, you ate our animals, we gave you accommodation, you ate our food? It wasn't Obote's soldiers who are going eating people's animals. It was the rebels, the NRM rebels, who were eating. So it is not. Museveni created the war, for starters. Who went to the bush? He went to the bush. Uganda was stable. At that time, he went to the bush.
Okay.
Who killed all those Ugandans you're talking about? It is himself who killed the Ugandans because he wanted to take over power. So, if we're talking about, first of all, he destabilized the peace. Then, in 19...
So you want to say that Museveni killed Ugandans during the war?
So who killed them? He's the one who wanted to take over power. You are the rebel. Who kills... So you want to tell me, because I'm not going to use the perfect example of Kony because I do not know who, for me, up to this time, I believe Kony is, there was no Kony. Kony it was a hoax or someone who was used. I've been to, because there's a time when the war was happening, I happened to travel to northern Uganda with a friend of mine, and they said, oh, those people you see on the roadside are the rebels. I'm like, are they rebels? So what are they doing here? It looked like a hoax, it didn't make any sense. So if from Museveni wanted to take over power, and right now you have people in Lubuurwa who are claiming he ate their food, he destroyed their farms, he ate their animals, and they are demanding money from Museveni right now. Why are they demanding it from the previous government? So Museveni is the one who killed the people in Lubuurwa. So if you say that there is peace, first of all, he destabilized the peace that was there then. He killed people in Lubuurwa so that he could take over power. He killed people in Kampala when he was taking over Kampala. So he killed Ugandans there. And what is he doing now, even on his regime? The killing of people has not stopped at all. You have innocent people being killed every day. You have the likes of the former you have Kawesi, you have the Chirumira. People are being murdered every day. And when you talk about sometimes it surprises me when I hear Ugandans are talking of, or the people sitting in government are talking about peace and security. When these letters started circulating about people, the list that circulated about who is next to be killed, some of the people who were mentioned were now sitting in patrol cars. They were, instead of sitting in their cars, they were sitting in the security detail cars. They were sitting in the cars that were supposed to give them security because they feared sitting in their cars they would be shot dead. So if Uganda is secure, an innocent man is killed by Nantaba and his men just because she suspected she was following her as if Nantaba is going to live forever.
Well, yes, because she's not
going to live forever. Whether it was him following her, Nantaba is going to die. It doesn't matter when and how.
Should government officials just
no, but
die
if there is security, if there is peace, why is Nantaba freaked out of a guy who is traveling his own way and they end up killing him? So when you talk about Ugandans, there is, just like Hilary said, there is when you're going to break down what is peace and security, Ugandans are what I would term into. I think I would take Uganda as one of the depressed countries. People smile just because they have no other option. They don't want to be crying all the time. When you see the situation in Uganda, I'm just imagining, yes, the other day I was watching Medi in Sereko, and he says we have over 100,000 Ugandans in Middle East. And these young girls are being used, they are being infected with HIV, they are slept on by overfed, I got to come to work into your house, but you have 10 boys around, kids, and they're all sleeping on me, they are being given to dogs. And these organizations that are taking these kids to Saudi Arabia are given licenses by government. And you think Museveni cares?
That is just something we talked about.
Let me finish up a little bit.
We could also remember very well.
Let me add a little bit. He does not care about Ugandans. So when you talk about peace and security, when himself is really, really freaked out, and I heard them say, today I've had two contradicting, and for the first time I said, who is this the brother of Ofonopono talking, or Ofonopono has gained his sense, where he said he's really surprised that the police cannot provide security where it's needed, and they go in mammoth numbers just to stop Bobby Wine, who was cleared to perform. So they always, I'm telling you right now, if just look at all twice the number of times Uganda has been under attack, the bombings. Was Uganda ever prepared? No. If anything is going to happen right now, can Uganda contain a situation that happened in Nairobi here? They cannot. So, and those are situations that most possible.
Uganda has been recognized for fighting against terrorists in Africa, and I think it's very important to recognize it. Is it just that the guys who support opposition are biased against Museveni, that they can't see what the street organizers are doing in the country?
In that regard, you look at Uganda, in a different perspective because look at the strategic location of Uganda. We are far away from Somalia, but Kenya is so close to Somalia.
They border.
So for us, we are safer because Al-Shabaab is very far away from us. But again, for a country like Kenya, each and every time Al-Shabaab has access to their country. So if whoever gives us credit, I don't know whatever we have done because even in which year was that? 2011 when we had World Cup, when we lost people at Nachivubo Stadium and the Ethiopian restaurant in Kabalagala. We lost people. So I don't know what you're talking about, that we are safe, we've fought terrorism. Recently, they've told you that ADF has a linkage with ISIL or ISIS. I don't know if you read about that. So what are we fighting? Because
we walked into Congo, because I don't know, when you talk about security, when we walked into Congo, you saw what happened. The likes of Salim Saleh and his team, they stole timber. Even up to this time, we haven't paid up all the money we have been owed.
Now Uganda going to pay over those
yes, but we went into Congo claiming to fight, but we stole their property.
And you see, with the issue of security, because we have very many questions for this government of Mr. Museveni, because up to now, we are still demanding for the killers of Andrew Kaira Lutakome.
Well,
Andrew Kaira.
There was some external forces that were brought into, but never raised a report.
Go to the death of the former CDF or former Minister of Internal Affairs, Arona Kairima.
Yeah,
how was he killed? Then go to also Serena Nebanda.
Exactly.
How was she killed? Go to the assistant IGP, Andrew Kawesi. Then go to also Honorable Abiriga. How was Abiriga killed? Go to Chirumira. How was Chirumira killed?
So you want to
go to the women in Entebbe who have been killed day and night under this regime, and the government has never taken actions. They've never presented us the killers of those women. Who's safe in Uganda? And today, look at the setting in our communities in Uganda, because each neighborhood you're going to find a very tall perimeter wall. Why? Because people feel insecure. But today, you are in the US. Look at the perimeter walls in the US. It's just like 1.5 meters tall.
They're not even walls. They're just kind of barricades.
Yes, you can see what's going on in your neighbors' compound.
Okay.
So before go to Muyenga, where we have those bourgeoisie. Go to Kololo. They have very tall perimeter walls. Why? Because they feel insecure. Now give credit to a person who is staying in Katanga, a person who is staying in Makerere, Chivulu, or Chikoni, or Chimombasa, because they don't have perimeter walls. Those are
German
Ugandans who are risking their lives. No. They have seen it all. They are living at risk at any time.
I want to leave that topic to be honest, but Sarah, you mentioned about the ladies and the gents who are dying in the Middle East, and last time, remember, you guys, we had a kind of discussion about the same issue. It's something that has not been given enough attention, but who do you think is responsible for all these people who are dying in the Middle East?
The Ministry for Labor issues the companies in Uganda with the certificates or permits to operate in this trade. And Uganda is entirely responsible, because Uganda has failed, and whoever, because I have literally, what I know, some of these companies that take Ugandans to these countries are bribe officials from the ministry to get some of these certifications they require. But on top of that, first of all, this thing started way back. These young men and women, first of all, they're collected, they get money from them. Some have sold their land, some have sold their parents, some take loans. And then they give out money to these companies, 5 million and above, they take from them. And then they are promised when you get on the other side, the job you're going to do is about 2 million. When they get to Saudi Arabia, wherever they go, or to these other countries, they now discover instead of 2 million, they're working for 500,000. They have nothing to do. Passport has been taken away from them. Because one thing people have failed to understand, to Arabs, when you're working for an Arab, you're a slave. It has never gotten out of them. Civilization has not helped Arabs at all. They treat other people like slaves. Anything that doesn't look like them, anything that doesn't look like, I think the only race they respect are the Caucasians. They respect the whites, but anything black has always been slaves. So a passport has been taken away from this young man or woman, and women affected more. And she's in this house, so she's only, and some of them as young as just their first travel. They've never traveled, they've never left their country. It is the first time they get onto a plane. So their fate is left. They cannot get their passport to run away. When they're taken to police or they go to report to police, the police look like the oppressors. They speak the same language. So they are left to wait for the day God is going to have mercy on them. But the Uganda government is entirely responsible because they should be able to coordinate and find out who you're taking maids, where are they going to work? All these families, because by the time you release maids from Kampala here, there's a coordinating company in Dubai or in Saudi Arabia or in Qatar that the company you're working with that is going to take over these maids. Now from the company taking over these girls as maids, how many are they being able to identify which homes are they going to? Who are in these homes? And what are they exactly going to do? Because for you to subject someone's kid to laborers who they work for over 20 hours non-stop, they work for over 15 hours non-stop, and on top of that, the money they were told to earn when they were leaving Uganda is different from what they get on ground. But they have to pay back the loan, they have to stay in such their situations. Museveni has done so much. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at this 100,000 or maybe 98 or 90 of them, 90,000 are suffering. How is Museveni going to look into the eyes of these young women and men who are suffering day and night, yet they are busy increasing? In Parliament, they are increasing their allowances by 40%.
Straight away, let's go to that. Let's go to the 40%.
Sorry, let me add on this. If members of Parliament really cared for Ugandans, just imagine the 40% increment they are earning, they are going to increase to themselves. Yet for them, because the excuse I saw was the cost of living is high. You're already earning 25 million, you're having an allowance of about 5 or 6 million per sitting, I don't know, or per month, and then you feel it's not enough. Why don't they put this money in a circle where Ugandans, instead of faring to Dubai, they can borrow this money at an interest of maybe 2%, 5%. You give them money at a low rate, and maybe, and then later they can find something to do that is productive and later pay back the money. I'll give an example before you take me off. Recently, I saw what happened in the United States, this particular state, where the Melmac Valley, where the many families or businesses were affected by the gas blasts. What did the state do? Now, that's a state. What the state did was able to come up with a pool plus the company, and they were able to give businesses that were affected loans where they are not supposed to pay back in the first 6 months. But our people, our legislatures, our representatives have traveled. It doesn't cause any rocket science. They were able to bring back people's business and kickstart them by giving them a loan where you're not supposed to pay back in the first 6 months. And when your business has settled down, you start paying back money. We have legislatures who come here for you. Now you see them putting on shorts, walking all over the streets, and they are gaping around as if they are lost. I see members of parliament coming here. I saw the likes of Lubuurwa. He looked like he was in heaven. Maybe it was his first trip. He had been to the United States before, but he was walking around as if he was lost, just being picked from some village out here. So they come here, they enjoy. Leave alone that. Let me finish up my point. First of all, they come here. I see most of them. UNA is coming up. You're going to see them here. They come on taxpayers' money. They're bought tickets. They're given accommodation. Lots of money. What do they come to do? They come around to chase girls in United States. They come around to put on shorts. They come around to walk around like lost chicken. All this money would be doing something back home. Would be really doing something back home. You see the likes of Kadaga. They all come here. And if you ever been to any of the UNAs where they are, yes, They're speaking
I'm
nonsense.
glad,
Nonsense. This money would be put in a pool.
I'm glad tonight
And
you're
it
having
will
a
be
town hall
benefiting
meeting
girls who are
concerning-
traveling to these countries to just
this
end up
evening,
in...
we're having a town hall meeting concerning UNA, and we're having one of the presidential candidates, Daniel Kauma. So the people who are watching us live on online or wherever you are, we believe you're going to be part of that show. And if you are in Massachusetts, New York, Maine, Maryland, New Hampshire, the studio is here, 901 Fulton Street. You can come and be part of the town hall. So let me get back to the business. I was just making an ad. You talked about the 40% increment, according to the Daily Monitor that was released this week. Parliamentarians came up with that idea, which I think was passed, and they're going to get that percentage. Bobby Wine came out because that's what I was looking for personally. Who is going to come out to stand against this? But why is it at this time, you people who believe in the people power, you haven't pressurized the parliamentarians to straightforward come out and fight and stop this percentage?
No, but who are you? Let me tell you one thing. That's why I'm telling you. You, as Ugandans, we need to wake up and send people to parliament who are going to work for the people. You have a team of bandits, broke people who have taken loans. Most of those parliamentarians are thriving on loans. They've taken up, they're choking on bad loans. They've taken, because before even you join parliament, the moment you pass through as a member of parliament and you've sworn in, banks are flooding with all these kinds of loans onto your doorsteps. So they are choking on loans. They do not care about any single Ugandan. Because when you look at, there are things that you didn't expect to pass in parliament. But sometimes you don't have to blame Bobby Wine. Or a few, because some of the members of the opposition are also as useless as the NRM members of parliament. Because there are few, even if Bobby Wine has stood up and said, I'm against this, the rest would have passed it. What is one against 1,000 of them who want an increment or who feel they need more money at the expense of Ugandans? Because where does the money come from that pays these MPs? It's taxpayers' money. Basically, they are going into, as the situation as bad as it is, they are going to milk it further for the 40%. As the situation as bad as it is, the government is milking, and Museveni himself, he has milked it from 50 million US, from 50 billion to 410. Where is the 410? So who is going to suffer? The Ugandans, and I'm telling you, by the next budget that is coming up, June, July, you're going to hear many more taxes that are coming up, imposed on Ugandans who are jobless, and prices of stuff are going to continue. There is a country, I've forgotten the name, I was reading about it, that disbanded its Senate. It disbanded, it's one country in Africa. It disbanded the entire Senate because they didn't have money to pay for the senators. One country in Africa, but I've forgotten the name. It has disbanded the entire Senate. The Senate was really too big, useless, doing nothing. At least if Museveni wanted to improve things and show us at least they are doing something. If MPs, because let's be sincere, we have all these RDCs, you have all these advisors who are on a payroll. What are they doing? And it really hurts that a common person who sits on this other side, who has not been in power for 33 years, we have the common sense and we can see the things that are going on and we know where to save money. But if I sat down with Museveni even for 5 minutes, I can tell him 3 or 4 major things why he can save money. Throw away all the RDCs. What is the work of the RDCs? What's the use of all these advisors? He never sees, they never see him at all. All they have is position and walking around their advisors. They all get cut. Throw them away. There is a lot of ways for him to save money, but they have lost all the integrity, all the humanity in them, that they are gonna milk this cow until when? They are gonna milk the cow, they are gonna milk, because right now what Museveni is doing right now, he's milking the blood. When I'm in Chester with the Asians, one of the reasons he gave, he said the Asians who are milking the cow, they are not fed. But what Museveni has done, he has taken it to another level. He milked the cow. There's no milk that is coming out. He's milking the blood. And very soon this cow is going to collapse because all the blood is going to be drained and there is no blood to put it back on life support. So it is really, really bad that MPs that are, I don't know, maybe we should get the footage and see how many of the opposition supported this in parliament. Because I'm telling you, when it comes to things that benefits in videos, I'm very sure some of the opposition members of parliament seconded it. So we need to find out who are these people. And for Ugandans, let's be 2021. let's reduce that parliament. Let's not have any, if we can take out the entire NRM members of parliament out of parliament. Because where do they get the votes? They are voted in by people. It is the same people take them out because they have not benefited Ugandans at all.
So I'm going to start with hearing, and this is going to be part of it, but it's a different story.
Maybe can I first comment on this before? You see, the issue of our parliament, for me, I see our parliament in two dimensions. The first dimension is full of leaders who look at our parliament as an arena to get financial freedom. Then the second dimension is those leaders who have Uganda at heart and they came to serve. And now it creates a confusion between the two dimensions. Why are these parliamentarians asking for a salary increase? It goes back to what they're facing on the ground or at the grassroots level, because people are living in absolute poverty. This is a bipartisan issue. Whether you're NRM or your opposition, at the end of the day, it's going to affect you as a legislator, because the people in your community, in your constituents, are going to come back to you as Hillary, as David, as Sarah. I want tuition for my son. He's at the university. He won't graduate if he doesn't pay tuition. I have lost a relative and we want to buy a coffin. I want a contribution. I have a wedding. I want a contribution. I have a birthday party. I want a contribution. I have a circle and we are seeking for pledges from our parliamentarian. So people are going to bring you lots of proposals. Now people are going to ask for different things. We want an ambulance. We want a borehole. We want to start up maybe a venture for the youth in our community. So because the government has failed to put such projects to give people better livelihoods in the communities, then it's bouncing back to the parliamentarians. And they are feeling the burden at the end of the day. So if you look at 25 million, for you as an outsider, you might think that this money is a lot. But remember that this parliamentarian has family members. Say he's taking care of 6 people in his family or 5 people. He has kids at the university and also in high school. And then he has to ensure that the family survives at the end of the day. So in other words, you're going to see that at the end of the day, the 25 million, if you start dividing it in 2 portions, you're going to see that these parliamentarians are going to become
you were like yes,
before you take away from Hilda, I want to differ from him.
So see, this thing, because for me, now look at the dynamics of our politics here in the US and also in Uganda. Because today here in the US, you're not going to find people who are bringing proposals to their senator or to their congresswoman or congressman that, hey, I want this, I have a barrier, I'm expecting fundraise from you. But in our country, it's different because of our values and norms. You're going to see that people, parliamentarians, they're attending graduations. If a parliamentarian comes to your graduation and doesn't give any contribution, people are going to bore him. We're talking about the reality.
Okay, you're talking about the reality, sir.
Now this is the reality.
I want Sarah to intervene in where.
But for me, I have no issue with increasing their salary. But the only issue. Let me first finish this thing. The only issue I have with is the number of parliamentarians. If we can reduce it, and we pay these guys so well, so that they're doing the work we expect them to do, then I'm okay with it.
I have a bigger question coming in.
Yes, they are not doing what we expect them to do.
You know why I differ from Hillary is what you're trying to propose are short-term solutions to a problem that is so big. Because right now, if you're okay with them increasing, if the excuse for you saying that the MPs are getting 40% because all the situation is bad, their constituents are asking for scholarships and all that, it is not going to get any better. The numbers of those asking for scholarships and money are going to increase. So as we speak, in a short period of time by next year, if this year they've asked for 40%, in the next 2 years, the members of parliament are going to ask for an increase of 150%.
I don't want it to miscon. So
No,
I say
my proposition.
I said the reason as to why this is happening is because the government has neglected its responsibilities.
And
so
the
if the government is doing the rightful things, then these parliamentarians wouldn't think about this.
I'm not going to blame.
If you look at the mess we have today in our country, it's a pity that today the government is, borrowing loans to pay teachers. It's borrowing loans to pay.
But you see the funny thing.
I want
I
at the end of the day to get a government that is,
I'm still going to differ.
Let me first finish this thing, because I don't want to be misquoted. Because for me, I blame the government for not doing its responsibility, because you know very well that our people back in our communities, they are living in absolute poverty.
Who is government to you? Who is government to you?
Who is government to me? Of course, the government is our executive. So now I'm looking at the president, I'm looking at the executive, I'm looking at the legislature, and I'm looking at the local government. Now, if people are living in absolute poverty, they are having 1 meal a day. They have droughts, and the government has failed to bring food to them. They're going to run back to the parliamentarian. So why can the government do the same thing? Because now they're telling us, look at the statistics, they're telling us that two out of 3 people, they fall back in the poverty cycle every end of the quarter. Why? Because the government has failed to remove people from...
Sorry, do you agree? You see why I disagree with Hillary? It is like we are giving a pass to these members of parliament, yet they are the lawmakers. All the bad laws that we've had going on in Uganda, the law that is going to keep Museveni in power after 75 years, it is the lawmakers that made it. We would have stopped this dictator from carrying on and misleading Uganda and continue exploiting Uganda. But the same people who are giving themselves an increment, the same people who are claiming, our people, we serve this and this, they did not have any common sense to see that the people are serving are tired of Museveni and they want him to go. So, for me, it's double standards. Who are making all these laws? The laws that gave away money to bring these Mivumba planes, they brought the Airbuses, the Mivumbans, they brought in Kampala, right, in the Bombardiers, they brought in Uganda, which the government of Uganda owns 1%. We already paid money for these Airbuses when we didn't even know the owner, when the owner was a private individual that has Kasaija, has some shares, the Minister of Finance, and the rest have some shares in it. Up to this time, we saw they registered the moment it was scrutinized and discovered that the planes, Uganda Airlines, does not belong to government. That's when they scrambled and went to let me finish up.
Okay,
to the ministry.
Sorry, just look at this example. Only one example.
You're going to make me lose my point. They scrambled and registered the airlines, and then they claim the shares now belong to Uganda. But who is passing all this money that is going to useless things and to be stolen? It is the same parliament that allowed an investor to be given money to build a hospital. Yet you have so many intelligent engineers in Uganda who can be given this money to build up, especially the hospital if you want it, or if you need, before even you put up a specialized hospital, just renovate and equip Mulago with everything it needs. You have so many referral hospitals. Someone can easily die from Zambia because there is no blood from Zambia. You have only one blood bank in Uganda, that is in Nakasero. It is the same member of parliaments who are approving money to go to these people. So if members of parliament, before they increase their 40%, for them to claim that, their people need money for scholarships, why don't they stop the misuse of money so that the money goes back to serve the people? Because the parliamentarians have contributed a big deal in passing all these. For example, you are going to increase the budget right now, the State House budget, to 410 billion. Who are going to pass this? It is a member of parliament. Members of parliament have not done any good for them to selfishly say, our people we serve keep coming back to us when we don't have enough money. Yet they are wasting money and giving it away to stupid, useless things. Yet they were able to give Museveni a lifetime presidency. Yet we would have kicked out Museveni and his entire regime, and we get on with, we see a new leader and we see change and we see what is going to happen. I do not give them the 40%. They are doing it selfishly. They don't deserve it. Because if you tell me all they're helping their people in the village who are coming, I have a wedding or my child, how many by now, 2019, if people are still coming to them for scholarships? These are simple things. As member of parliament, if they had common sense and they really, really cared for the people, there are so many ways you can get. Do you know how many organizations in the Western world are giving away scholarships to third world countries? I always send my niece scholarship programs, which are given to third world countries for students in third world countries. There are so many. You can, hold up a second, you can solicit for this money from so many organizations, and if you show them that you're performing as member of parliament, they have that leeway of soliciting money. Even if you talk to the senators on this side, you talk to the legislatures in first world countries, they could be able to help you because they're dealing with someone one-on-one to help their people.
All right, so
the bottom line is 40%. The 40% was uncalled for. Let them stop the wasteful money they keep on passing. All these bills they keep on passing, that money is going to be used in a wasteful way. And this money can go, because this is all taxpayers' money, it can go back into the community, it can go back into the masses and provide those things they claim that they need money for.
Moderator,
okay, just a minute. You guys mentioned about reducing the number of parliamentarians, right? And I want to borrow something from Andamandaku, who say that at least from 400 and we take off 200. Now, the question is, you want to take off 200 members of parliament from sitting in that parliament. How are they fundraising? Because you make, I mean, Sarah, you've been talking about you don't want these guys to increase their money, their allowances. You somehow support them. And the main point is, we have never seen these parliamentarians fundraising for their campaigns. How are you going to make these parliamentarians accountable for their deeds if nobody paid for their campaigns?
No, this is what happened. They take up, because it's a business. Fundraise, you can choose to fundraise if you want. But this, you've seen people lose their houses after campaigns because they went to the bank, borrowed loans, put in their campaigns. It's entirely up to them to fundraise, because if you really, really done well and you've really served your people, people would be able to fundraise. And you don't have proper systems where, like in the Western world, where either parties fundraise for you. You see even NRM candidates, some are given money or they're not given enough money, and you see them quarreling around and fighting for the money that are given to them. And let's even take it back before we say that. As NRM party, NRM doesn't have money. All what they're using is money that belongs to, the NRM is using the taxpayers' money. When have you seen, how many times have you seen the NRM fundraising money through its, either lobbying through its members or doing stuff through its members? Where are they getting the money? It is the taxpayers' money that Museveni is using. Basically, Museveni and NRM and the government, there is no difference. It's one entity that uses money from one area and uses it for personal projects, like NRM. NRM is a personal project of Museveni, of which uses taxpayers' money to fund it.
So the reason why I asked you this question, here you had something you wanted to raise up before I actually bring my point out.
Yes.
Okay. So
we're jumping from one thing to another. Okay. Yeah. For me now, to the issue of fundraising, or cutting the number of parliamentarians. Well, it's possible if you have political will, because at the end of the day, it goes back to political will. So if you have a leader who has political will, we can easily, cut the number of parliamentarians we have.
They're the lawmakers.
By half of the number we have.
The president approves.
Because remember very well, like, now look at the number of the NRM MPs who passed the removal of the age limit, 317 parliamentarians. So that alone shows you that it's a big problem to our country. But again, everything is possible. So for me, I think Sarah was talking about fundraising, because here the dynamics are different in the US, in that people are going to know the source of your income in your campaigns. But again, back home, we are mainly getting money from, the West. let it be even the opposition. So, but for me, I would love to see a Uganda that is, you know, self-reliant. How about we get to the time whereby we can, you know, fundraise from the grassroots, like the way you saw Kizza Besigye in the last presidential elections. He could move from one campaign station to another, and people were, you know, fundraising for him.
All right. So,
but you see, we have to not rush into this thing about the increase of the pay to the parliamentarians, because it's just I don't know, like
it's done.
It could be like I'm not sure, because I'm always watching, following up with the sessions in Parliament via Twitter. But I've never seen, I haven't seen that yet, that it has been passed. Maybe it's still a rumor in corridors.
Yeah, we saw it in the national newspaper, so that's why. So let's go and do a short break, and then we come back.
Even if it's, yes, if it's the truth, to me, as I've told you, I'll stick to my point that let, you know, also the people be helped in the communities, because it's so it's so, you know, sad to see a person in the community asking for a hole from a parliamentarian. How much is a hole?
All right, so
because we have to understand the people. They were Nainchi in the community areas. Now look at
let's start from there.
Honorable Rutamaguzi. Because no, before I come, before we go to that, look at Honorable Rutamaguzi. It's coming from Lubuurwa, a district that was affected by a guerrilla war that brought the junta into power in 1986. Their land is now stolen because the army is now stealing land. Land grabbing is the issue in Lubuurwa. Honorable Rutamaguzi is saying it day and night. Honorable Rutamaguzi is telling you that he's suffering because he's fundraising to buy beds in hospitals. So look at, if you get time and, you know, break the 25 million of that Honorable Rutamaguzi and look at the things he's doing for his people without the backup of the government, you're going to see that the pay is getting less. Now go to the woman MP
so
of
you
Kampala.
Advocate.
Now go. Look at this constituents.
My producer
one more constituents. Look at the constituents of Kampala Central.
Right, so
now look at Honorable Nabira. Well, she's failed. She's not coming back, I'm sure, beyond doubt. But she was overwhelmed by the size of the constituents. Because at the end of the day,
let's start from there.
She cannot empower women.
Let's start from there.
Can I just to wrap up? I know you want me to wrap up. You want to wrap up. But what I want to say, the members of parliament are carrying a burden that does not belong to them. If only they are allowed to do what is right in parliament.
All right.
The bills go through them. This all amounts of money that is put to useless use, money that is stolen, goes through parliament. Why are they, if they care about hospitals having no beds, why do they approve this money? If this money, for example, let me ask you, why is Uganda?
After short break coming up, we're going to be starting with where Sarah has stopped. Thank you.
For me, I'm mind about the opposition MPs.
All right, so, okay, today is the day for the town hall. Just after a few hours from here, we're going to be preparing for it. So come early. The show starts, the town hall starts at exactly 5:30. So entrance is open from now onwards. So I want to thank you. Guys, let me come back from Sarah, where you stopped from. You guys tend not to be agreeing on the issue of whether they should increase or not. And I want to break you a little bit.
Now, somehow, somewhere, we have a linkage to our arguments.
Yeah, and if you allow me to finish what I was putting across.
Go on.
Just give me, in this era and time where Uganda is at, why are we buying the 2 bombardiers? How much money? I am telling you, that airline is not going to operate for a year before it shuts down. Do you know how much profit airlines make on the business they operate on? There is no money. First of all, look at the other airlines. Airlines have cancelled route to Kampala just because they do not make money. They are wasting that route just because they don't make money. So if airlines, British Airlines cancelled, it's one of the biggest airlines. It cancelled trip to Kampala because it wasn't making money. You have Turkish Airlines they have to go through Rwanda, make a stopover in Rwanda and collect over people. And then they have to come to Kampala and make a stopover in Kampala to collect people who are going to, and then that's when you end up in where? In Istanbul for another stop before they carry on people who are continuing to either Denmark and all other countries. So if Uganda, if a stopover there, you do not have, I don't know who did this research, and if they wanted, they would have bought small jets that are flying people in, within the country, that are flying tourists to Makshon Bay, to all these other places. It would have made sense. How much money, how many Ugandans fly on a daily basis that are going to be able to utilize the bombardiers?
All right.
Why waste money for bombardiers just because your ego is telling you that maybe Ugandans will be happy or they'll give you another term if you buy the airlines you destroyed 20 years ago? Because you had Uganda Airlines and it was destroyed 20 years ago. Why don't you use this money right now to equip us? Because the problem of Ugandans, 90% of Ugandans do not even have passports. They have no dream of flying out of Uganda. They live without a meal a day. They have no school fees for their kids. They have given up on life. So they'll be flying going where? Where are the Ugandans going to fly going to? So where are they going to fly going to? So you fail to cater for the problems that affect the biggest part of the population. Ugandans, their problems right now is not a bombardier. Ugandans, their problem right now is people dying of diseases every day. Cancer is increasing in Uganda right now because every country that wants to do dumping right now, China is dumping in Uganda. People are eating plastics every day. Cancer is not to be a problem of Africa. When you come to the Western world, it is a problem to them, but they know how to manage it. That is, they are decreasing the number of people who are dying with cancer because they can diagnose it as early as possible. In Uganda, people are dying. People, by the time they go to hospital, it is stage 4. Kids are born with cancer right now. So much is happening. Uganda does not need bombardiers right now. They need a cancer machine right now. Up to this time, we had to find money for a bombardier, and you're talking about members of parliament increasing their money, yet they could not find money to replace a cancer machine that at least is able to do, to diagnose and do all that, do scans and all that. Ugandans are getting chemotherapy from Nairobi. If you do not have money to go to Nairobi for chemotherapy, you're going to die. So we do not need bombardiers. Whoever came up with the idea that Uganda needs 2 planes, Museveni just wants to fulfill his ego, that he's assuming that Ugandans are going to be excited because 2 bombardiers are coming to Uganda. But I'm telling you that airlines is going to shut down before a year. Or they are going to use it as a personal business. Because if big airlines are cutting route to Uganda, tell me, is Museveni going to fly birds in the bombardier? Is he going to fly animals in the bombardiers? Where are Ugandans traveling to? Do you know? Did they do research to find out what is the percentage of Ugandans traveling? And with the rate at which planes are coming down because of either mishaps or the technical team not knowing what to do, how many Ugandans are willing and are going to sacrifice for flying in this bombardier with Uganda that that they specialize in quantity than quality?
All right, so here, let me start with you. Uganda, we know that Idi Amin had, number of planes, and we no longer have them today. So, do you agree with Sarah or disagree with her over the introduction of the new 2 bombardiers?
Yeah, whatever Sarah has told us is totally right, because it goes back to our history in 1976, when Uganda Airlines started, was established by former dictator Idi Amin Dada.
Your best president?
He has never been my best president. Idi Amin, actually, Idi Amin is in the same boat with Museveni. But
he loved his country.
Museveni is worse.
Yeah, Museveni is worse. Amin loved his country, did things for the country, he put his people first.
And now you see, Uganda Airlines started operations in 1977. So Amin gave us 6 airplanes in 8 years. And they were operating until 2001 in May, when this junta, Museveni, liquidated our company. Because I wanted to make it, he wanted to privatize it, so nobody could buy it. Investors from South Africa gained interest. At the last minute, they jumped out. So from 2001, we never had a national flag carrier. But again, the question comes to us as Ugandans, do we need a flag carrier now? Because they look at countries like US. They don't have a flag carrier. Have you ever seen a national airline in US? We don't have it. So what US has done as the most powerful country that embraces capitalism, they've made it, they've privatized the sector.
Yes.
Let those with money come and create competition, fair competition in this field. Because today, trust me, gone are the days when people were so excited about a plane flying. But today, it's no more. Tell me today, for the years you've been in the US, have you gotten time to look at which plane is passing? Which name is on that plane? No one. So if bright fools in this regime of Mr. Museveni come out and tell us that now we're going to fly the crane, to who? Because trust me, as Sarah has told you, that there is no business. Because all countries with airlines, they are making losses every year. Now go to Kenya Airlines, KQ. Last year they made a loss of $4 billion US. That was a huge loss. Now go to Nigeria. Nigeria made a loss of 400 million. That's a loss. Go to Rwanda Air. Rwanda Air, where is Rwanda Air? Rwanda Air also made a loss of 8.3 billion. Go to Tanzania. These are statistics, and they're everywhere on the internet. Tanzania also made a loss of 1.9 million US dollars. Go to South Africa, because we look at South Africa as an emerging economy, but it's making losses. It's so powerful, but it's making losses. So South Africa made also a loss of 4.7 million US dollars.
So you want to mean that...
Do you think Uganda is so special?
That it's going to make money?
Because I don't see even why the president is celebrating. Because if you are the same man who liquidated our company in 2001, and now you're coming out to celebrate that we have 2 airlines.
Look at
Amin. Amin gave us an Airbus that was carrying 289 passengers. And today we have CRJs 900
it's
that are carrying
80
only
people.
79 passengers.
And
So
to interject Hillary a little bit, Museveni himself, I expected him to take at least a little trip from Uganda to Nairobi and come back. He cannot risk his life.
Actually,
I would be very glad for Museveni and the wife to take the first trip. They could not dare risk their life and risk the presidency just to put their lives out there, because they know they could not, maybe it was really, the returning would have been really tough.
Yeah.
So he could not risk his own life. Let's
bring it back to our neighbors. Let's bring it back to our neighbors in the east, Kenya. You see, when Kenya was launching their recent Boeing, the president, Uhuru Kenyatta, boarded the KQ from Nairobi to New York. But this president hasn't. And now,
he cannot.
For me, I was expecting Mr. Museveni, while he was launching those funny planes, to give an order that let all ministers use Uganda Airlines.
And the NRM member of parliament.
Let all parliamentarians use Uganda Airlines. But there is nothing like that.
Yeah, because
and now look at our setting. Because as I've told you before, we are living in absolute poverty. So very few people have cash flow in our country. So how many people are going to be able to use that plane? Are we going to use passports? Are we going to use driver's licenses? So what's the real name of this company? Is it still Uganda Airlines or Uganda National Airlines?
All right, so
all those questions are not answered. Now, we're also not aware of who is the rightful owner. Because in Parliament, you're telling us 99% is owned by a private individual, up to now who is unknown. And as a nation, we have only 1%. What are we celebrating?
Well, the
and again, those who are telling us that we are carrying pride. Now, let me tell you, today we can carry pride in different ventures. Look at USA, for example. Now, let me first finish this, because US, they are carrying their pride in different things. Go to movies, Hollywood. That's the pride of US. Each and every person in the world is watching movies from Hollywood. Go to Nigeria, they have Nollywood. Go to India, they have Bollywood.
And you have
now,
Uganda
Uganda Airlines, what are you talking about? No, have you seen India talking nonsense about their national airline? Because they know there is nothing about it anymore.
There's no money in it.
Have you seen countries like Canada praising their national airline? There's nothing to celebrate about. But they're using other things.
All right.
Now they're also using music. Now look at
the president was
like
clear.
You as someone from Africa, you are going to talk about Beyonce or Jay-Z or Kendrick Lamar, but you're not going to talk about funny airlines. So what has the president done to promote the music industry? Because we have a young kid who could carry the pride of Uganda to international stages, a fresh kid. Have you ever seen Museveni meeting him? But recently I saw Museveni praising a visual artist kid from Kenya. Yet he has failed to meet our national, our kid from Uganda.
If I take you...
Now, where is, because he has been promoting Bubu. Buy Uganda, promote Uganda. But the president, go to Twitter, he was promoting a kid from Kenya.
Because,
so
why
can't
this
he
is what I want to raise. This is what I want to raise.
And we raise his flag high. Now look at the way they've treated... No, let me first finish this thing. Because look at the way they've treated Eddie Kenzo. Because he was promoting our pride to international stages so high in tourism industry. He went to all those big awards in this world. Okay. But again, they scrapped him off the role of ambassador.
Just because he supports, he diverges away from what the government stands for. He supports people power. So Eddie Kenzo cuts across his who would carry the flag better is stripped away. And then you go ahead and bring Miss Covey. I looked at it. It was a little joke. I saw Miss Covey.
There are different things we can use.
I saw Miss Covey being given a DMC. Was that a new car? Had they just a very old car given to someone through, I saw the car, I'm like, seriously? They couldn't even, the government of Uganda through Ms. Covey couldn't even afford a better car that they had to get a DMC and give to this woman. So, Uganda is a total joke. And because I'm looking at, even I looked at the concept of Ms. Covey. What kind of tourism is it going to affect?
All right, guys. I think my time is up.
People do things minus using common sense. In Chwanda, and I was watching some clip from a guy from Chwanda's constituency, and this drunkard man, the guy was really, really drunkard. He said they don't need Chwanda. He has failed them. People like Chwanda should not come back to parliament because we have members of parliament, we have ministers that are as useless, they don't use their common sense at all. Because Miss Covey was a miscap. That money wasted in Miss Covey would have gone in buying medicine.
This is so imperative because you see, President Museveni was talking about having an East African airline.
Exactly. But again, East Africa. That's why when I heard you talk about...
How would you advocate for an East African airlines, yet we've failed on national airline?
All right.
So which competition are you creating?
No,
because the national airline has failed. And now you're jumping into the East African airlines.
He cannot...
Do you think Kenya is going to be stupid to invest in this East African
No, you've
airline?
already mentioned the losses. You've already mentioned losses other countries are making as per now in the airlines. We know there is no profit on airlines. There is no profit in airlines. Museveni just wanted to raise up his ego.
Actually, just look at Ethiopian Airlines, because now people are starting to sue Ethiopian Airlines.
Yes, it
could be the start of the collapse of that airline.
It was a waste of money. It was a man who has failed, who wants to, because I know definitely 2021 if he's gonna run and he's gonna run shouting about the bombardiers. This Mivumba. I saw someone brought up 2 pictures of a bus in one of the buses in Mombasa, executive buses in Mombasa, and they put it aside with the bombardier.
With one,
and I'm telling you, I couldn't tell. The
one
seats,
had rats in it, and
no, the seats in the executive bus, the seats in the executive bus looked much better than what the bombardier has right now. The airline is not going to last a year. I'm telling you. There is no money in that business. It was a waste of money. I do not know why our leaders never use their common sense to put money. If Museveni had bought...
That's what you guys in
If Museveni had bought the cancer machine that does screening, that does... If they had improved our chemotherapy, that Ugandans don't have to move to Kenya to do chemotherapy from there, Ugandans would have been proud. If Mulago Hospital had been equipped, or if our referral hospitals, the rest of Nsambia, had been equipped with what normal human Ugandans need on a daily basis, Ugandans would be clapping. Okay. But you bring a bombardier, you bring 2 bombardiers that are not going to benefit Ugandans. The Ugandans that are suffering right now do not care about bombardiers because they have going nowhere. They have no relatives. People are so poor that they have no relatives where you are sending them. Okay. They have no clan members. Everything they see is around them. Where are they going? What are they going to do?
I want to thank you so much, and for the people who are watching us from wherever you are, we want to appreciate so much for the efforts you've done to make sure that you be part of this discussion. Tonight we're having a town hall here in CFTV studios, and if you want around here, New York, Maryland, Massachusetts, come and be part of the town hall, or even if you're far from United States, don't forget to log in and watch it live on LifeM TV Live Network. Guys, I want to thank you so much for again coming in and sharing the views. I do understand that you guys, next time, we're going to start with how is people power going to fundraise, because that's the problem why you're having these corrupt leaders in Africa. So I want to thank you so much. And for all the people who are out there, thank you for always being part of Campfire Talk Show, being part of Uganda Crossroads, being part of Love, Sex and Money. See you next week. My name's David Lubuurwa. See you again in the town hall. Thank you.